I cannot overstate how fucked my allergies are. I'm fucking dying with this shit.
It's bad, and it's been worse for me since I moved to the Northeast, for sure. It's
Yes.
the oak pollen, I guess, I think.
Yes. I sit here, next to an open window saying this, but like, I refuse.
This sounds like we're about to do an ad read for Zyrtec.
So it's time to pay the bills, guys. How about you, John? How are your allergies this year? Well, John, they're really bad, and I can't get out of my left nostril, and my dog, I refuse to let go of because the pet dander. And what about you, Tommy? How do you feel about allergies? Oh, well, as you know, I'm from like Massachusetts or some bullshit, and it used to be really bad, but now it seems to be getting worse. So, Zyrtec, guys, good stuff. I think they're both from Massachusetts.
It really is good stuff, man.
And here, you know what? Here's how. Like, I try not to take meds and shit like that if I don't need to. I need to, and I'm not taking any. And it might beg the question. Oh, what, Dwight? You're it's not you don't want to take a fucking Claritin, but you're okay to drink like a bottle and a half of wine in a sitting. My answer is yes.
It's called alcoholism. Look it up.
It's America, and it's my choice. So however I want to do with my body is my choice. Thank you. And honestly, I never had like allergies as a kid. I think when I hit like 30 or something, they just started. It was only in the last few years that I think you can hear it in my voice. And this spring, like last spring, immediately I said I had COVID. Like immediately I was just like, oh, yeah. I'm dead, and everyone around me is gonna die.
Yeah.
I have taken
simple as
that was it. Hey, it's been a good run. And I've taken 2 COVID tests, and it turns out I don't have COVID so far.
That's great.
But it's not a mistake that here we are, and it has started in late March, early April. And I recalled like it only starting in like May-ish, like would really be kind of like this sort of allergies where the pressure behind the eyes.
Sure, yeah.
Sinuses just throbbing and all that stuff.
One cool thing I have now is my throat just closes.
Think about how 99.99% uptime. Well, maybe it's got to close every once in a while.
It's gotta do maintenance in there.
Yeah.
You never know.
Open 24/7, but not in a row. I did, in looking this up, I did come across, and everything's about climate change or whatever, and no, it's true, that it is expressly because of climate change is why we're suffering from it right now.
Oh,
yeah,
is that so?
You didn't know? Oh, we're in hell. We're all in hell.
That's pretty good. Is it just because like the seasons are changing and it's like
Yes. In fact, I'm looking at the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America press release.
I trust them.
Yeah, no, they're cool. They have the competitor, which is the United Asthma and Allergy Foundation, but we don't talk about them.
It doesn't hit the same.
No. These are the OGs. And they said that between 1995 and 2011, that it caused in the United States for the pollen season to be 11 to 12. Excuse me, I'm literally dying. For the pollen season to be 11 to 27 days longer. And that was from 95 to 2011.
It's just going to be year round until there's no more trees.
So what about now? It says, the irony is it's like so much more pollen because of the trees. So we need to get rid of the trees. I'm very smart.
We have to, deforestation is the only way.
Hashtag birds aren't real. You know that's like a thing that of like weirdo conservatives.
It's like a performance art thing, right?
I think it's crossed over into like unironic.
You think it's crossed over into like a real thing?
Insane conspiracy theory.
No.
Yeah.
Is it really?
I mean, look.
I'm gonna look it up.
Have you ever held a bird?
What I really like? I like the ones where there's like the Facebook groups for people who think that like big mountains are like ancient tree stumps.
What the fuck?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I mean...
Oh, somebody has to know what I'm talking about that's listening. Hold on.
Jesus Christ,
mountains
what's wrong with these people?
are ancient trees. Yeah, I mean, like look at this and tell me that it's not a tree stump. Here, I'll send it to the Discord
Yeah.
because I don't think you can send pictures on Zoom. And we'll just let the boys wonder why I'm sending a picture of like a mesa or whatever this is.
Oh, that's Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
You could see it, right? You could see that it's
Absolutely.
like a tree stump.
This is in the out of the 6 movies that I have seen, one of which I've seen 100 times is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which takes place in the final scene there.
There you go.
That's good shit right there.
I've never seen that. I've never seen Close
Fucking
Encounters.
great film. Love it.
I gotta see it. I'm assuming it's about aliens.
I don't want to spoil it.
It's weird that I've never seen it because like I love like alien shit and UFO shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm like obsessed with it. But it's because I'm like a crank.
We should have Tom DeLonge on the program. I bet he would show up. I bet he'd show up.
I bet we could get a lot of weirdos to show up.
Yeah.
If we just tried.
So just to be clear, going back to the allergy thing, yes, it is about a month longer in the United States. And this is a quote here from a
That's wild.
allergist in Atlanta saying, patients sometimes, when they have significant allergies to pollen, tell me that they just can't function. They feel run down.
Yeah.
They don't have the energy they used to have. And it's fucked. Apparently,
that is really fucked.
pollen concentrations have increased by 21%. Like that, just even like getting your head around that, like a person like me who like never suffered from allergies now is just
Yeah.
like, dealing with it, and it sucks.
Yeah, because it passed whatever threshold you had. Yeah, I didn't even. I guess like I always had allergies, so I was just like, oh, it's just worse. But like now, people who have never even had them will have them.
Exactly. And like I was sitting there just like suffering this morning with, it feels like a fucking impact driver going into my
Yeah.
sinuses, my eyebrows and shit. And I was just like, wait a minute, there's some fucking Fauntleroys that are living the life off of their parents' dividends in like Baker Hughes or Schlumberger or some shit. And
Are those real places?
yeah, they're huge. Yeah. I think they merged.
Schlumberger?
Jesus, do we have to do an episode on them? Schlumberger, yeah, it's a huge French oil field services company. Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, Halliburton, Weatherford. Those are like kind of the big.
I thought you were saying that as like locations where they're vacationing. Now that I see you said company names.
Yeah, no. So they
it makes it worse.
it's just like, who are the people that are like gaining the dividends of like the fossil fuel and the causes of climate change? Meanwhile, like 170 million people are fucking miserable between like March 15th and May 15th or something like that. Like that is so
crazy.
fucked. And not to
That's
mention
not
like
even something I ever would have thought of.
Oh, this is all I think about. And like, not to mention like the pharmaceutical companies that are just like, well, here's just another business, vertical for us to.
And none of the allergy meds even work, really.
No.
At least not for me. I mean, you can see like this. You see like my eyes. This is from allergies. Like it gets like for the next like 4 months, my eyes will just like be like totally puffy like this, and I can't do anything about it.
Fuck.
I was just looking at it. It says because of the carbon dioxide going up, pollen is going to increase by 200% by 2100. So like our kids will just be like little allergy balls.
That is so fucked up.
200%.
And I was thinking just even if I'm not mistaken, loratadine, which is like it's in like Claritin and aloe vera, that's like the active ingredient, which is just like an anti-expectorant or something. It dries you up, like it's an astringent thing or whatever. I believe that only stops more histamine reactions, but it doesn't stop the one like the what you've already incurred. But it will help like dry you out or whatever.
I don't know. That one does not work for me. What is the generic name of Zyrtec? That one helps me a little.
It's just,
not anymore,
it's no fun, man. I'm just really fucking not having a great time with this. And of course, like this is exactly what I'm thinking of is like, there are people that are having a better life as a result of all of this pain.
Well, my throat is closing. Little Jimmy Halliburton is having a ball.
It's so upsetting, man. It really, really fucking bothers me. And it also like started getting me in the headspace. I was thinking about this with like there was an anecdote that I wanted, and I'm sure you and probably everybody has heard but I want to share it with you about it. And the reason I thought about it was a TikTok, which I have to subject all of us to now, if I may.
Oh, no.
And in fact, could I ask?
You're such a TikTok head.
Oh, buddy, it's happening. What the fuck else can you do with like
I do not go on there.
I don't go out. I used to be, go out to bars and see friends, and I was a very, sociable guy. And now we just sit at home. What the fuck else is there to do? But can you share your screen and play this?
Hashtag back to work. Hashtag back to the office. Hashtag corporate life sucks. Hashtag society is broken.
Yeah.
Hashtag Myers-Briggs.
So
that's a lot of hashtags.
Yes. So okay,
man.
you see why there's like this is being set up for failure here, and I want to expose this.
All right. Let's see. Let's
take a look.
Okay. This is on.
Yeah.
And it's a guy looking really smug. He's wearing a button-up chambray shirt. Is what it looks like to me.
Yep.
Got glasses. I'm just describing it for the listener.
Here we are, the office in the Big Apple. Let's talk about why society is screwed up. If you've ever worked in an office, you'll notice that the people who are running the place have a different personality than the people who are actually running the place. Psychologically speaking, the people who are in charge tend to be type A, they tend to be ENTJ types, ESTJ types, or also, some of them are probably sociopaths, for real. This is because the thinking function, as the Myers-Briggs describes it, sees people as objects. They see people only as objects and not as subjects in their own right. This includes to seeing oneself as an object. And that's helpful because if you have to push yourself beyond comfort,
you can do
really
it if
you see yourself as an object. This is why we have biopics of people who have achieved very high levels of success but have absolutely terrible personal relationships. Steve Jobs, for example, refused to believe that his child was his child for decades. These people have unreasonable expectations of themselves and then set the pace for everyone else to follow. The standard of what is effective and productive is set by a very small group of people in an extremely narrow way. These are people who don't value harmony, they see kindness as weakness, and they think feelings don't matter at all.
Wow.
I don't think that's
wow.
Well, I'll be quiet. I won't disparage this guy's TikTok too much.
Oh, I will. That's why we're here.
I mean, he's obviously critiquing the CEOs or whatever, but I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know that they all are that way because of Myers-Briggs.
Except that's okay. So what struck me about this is, to cut to the chase, like this is what you're left with, this like weird half-assed fucking like astrology for corporate hierarchy when you exclude class analysis from this shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's because like the CEOs read like what color is your parachute that they are the way that they are.
That's
or
so
like who
funny.
Moved my cheese.
That's so
or any of those.
Do you think Steve Jobs like said that his that didn't recognize his disowned his daughter because he was a CEO or because he was an asshole?
Right.
Or who knows, or whatever, any other fucking family pathology or whatever that he grew up with, which whatever. Like when you are like, I'm sure what in his mind, what this suggests is like things could be fine. You just have to find the right people.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what's her face? Marianne Williamson tweeted yesterday, like it's so good that the labor stuff is happening because this is like the only way we can make capitalism better.
Marianne. What are you doing? What are you doing, man?
Stick to the birds.
Oh,
Marianne.
man, which aren't real, by the way. We'll talk about that later offline. But it's so I just when I see stuff like this, I mean, firstly, I'm suspicious of anybody that's talking fast over lo-fi beats. And the second thing,
I actually love the lo-fi beats.
We all love lo-fi beats.
Lo-fi beats to study too.
I've asked the guy that speaks in my ear to play lo-fi beats every once in a while to give me a little variety. It's just funny to me that like it's completely devoid of class analysis. And if he understood some class analysis, which who knows who this? We should fucking look him up. Actually,
I don't want to talk too much shit about him without knowing.
Oh no, I'm not. Listen,
cool
I'm judging
guy.
books by their cover, left and right here. I mean, no issue.
It's hard. Like I think a lot of people also just like think that if they figure out what that framework is, that then like they can get to the top and like make it better through that or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. He wrote okay, this kid, because I'm looking him up, Brendan Lemon. He wrote a book that's on Amazon for free for Kindle called The Power Bible. And it says to have power over another one must first have power over oneself.
Is that real? Or is this
No, I'm serious. The Power Bible teaches how power operates on both an interpersonal, individual, and a societal level, arming the reader with tactics and skills on how to triumph in the contest of life.
No, I don't think so.
The Power Bible.
Send it to me.
Oh, of course.
Send this to me. I want to see it.
The Power Bible. Hang on, this is
the Power Bible.
I try not to be vicious and like, ad hominem and stuff.
Oh, I see the link to it. I see it.
Yeah.
The best-selling book.
The Power Bible is an instrument to teach you how to win, to bend, disregard, and strategically break the rules that bind you, cultivating an awareness for which battles to fight, which ones to pass on, and how to win the moments that matter. Drawing lessons from their experiences in law, comedy, sales, and relationships, Bill and Brendan present a unique view of the world that has enabled them to overcome challenging life circumstances and ultimately thrive. Boys.
I love overcoming my life circumstances and thriving.
Boys.
Well, there's a 2-star review that says it had words and was formatted.
Oh my God.
I implicitly understand who this book is for, because this is the type of book that I would have bought when I was like in my mid-20s and I was like, why does my job make me want to kill myself?
But do you see what I'm saying? Like,
it's because I don't have confidence. If I understand how to have confidence, then I can fake it till I make it and not blow my brains out in front of my computer. And you know what, man? You cannot, no matter how many audiobooks you listen to,
but
you're never going to feel normal being around these corporate people. Like, you're not,
exactly.
You can't. If you don't like have that personality to like thrive in that environment and you're not like totally acclimated to it, it's like, it's a very crazy making environment. It can go one of two ways. You like burn out and like flame out like I did.
Speaking,
yeah. Impulsively quit your job, or you become like hyper aggressive and just like treat everyone at work like shit, which is also totally valid. I should have done that.
I should.
No, I'm just playing. You shouldn't do that. You should organize with your coworkers.
It's just like that's exactly why I wanted to bring this up, because like it is we watch, especially this, seems like a young guy in his 20s or something like that. We watch these people, in Americans specifically, like flailing, trying to make sense of it all and understanding why, it's not working for them, why they feel uncomfortable every time they wake up in the morning and have to go to work, why they feel like shit every time they go home. And like, and obviously we've said this 1,000 times, whatever, that in our, hyper individualistic society, there is, you can only look to yourself for critique. And if you don't have like a wider political economic critique, then you'll fucking go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as it does feel like there's like something wrong with you or whatever when you see like seemingly a lot of people adjusting well to being in these circumstances.
Exactly. And it led me to remember an anecdote which I was thinking about yesterday. And I was like on the bike, and I was just thinking about this, and I'm sure everyone's heard this anecdote, and and I'll butcher it or whatever, but it's something like, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm just gonna read from this like whatever bullshit thing, just so like I can say it articulately and not like make a problem of it. So, all right, the story's this, and everyone's heard this story, but I'm going to say it again anyway. One day, a fisherman was lying on a beautiful beach with his fishing pole propped up in the sand and his solitary line cast out into the sparkling blue surf. He was enjoying the warmth of the afternoon sun and the prospect of catching a fish. About that time, a businessman came walking down the beach trying to relieve some of the stress of his workday. He noticed the fisherman sitting on the beach and decided to find out why this fisherman was fishing instead of working harder to make a living for himself and his family. "You aren't going to catch many fish that way," said the businessman to the fisherman. You should be working rather than lying on the beach." The fisherman looked up at the businessman, smiled, and replied, "And what will my reward be?" "Well, you can get a bigger nets and catch more fish." "And what will my reward be?" asked the fisherman, still smiling. The businessman replied, "You will make money and you'll be able to buy a boat, which will then result in larger catches of fish." "And then what will my reward be?" asked again the fisherman.
Fish.
The businessman was beginning to get a little irritated with the fisherman's questions. "You can buy a bigger boat and hire some people to work for you." "And then what will my reward be?" repeated the fisherman. The businessman was getting angry. "Don't you understand? You can build up a fleet of fishing boats, sail all over the world, and let all your employees catch fish for you." Once again, the fisherman asked, "And what will my reward be?"
Get his ass. Get that businessman's ass.
The businessman was red with rage and shouted at the fisherman, "Don't you understand that you can become so rich that you will never have to work again for your living? You can spend the rest of your time sitting on this beach looking at the sunset. You won't have a care in the world." The fisherman, still smiling, looked up and said, "And what do you think I'm doing right now?" Did a little lounge singer interpretation of the
That was really good. What do you think I'm doing right now? And then he looked at the camera.
I'm sitting down right now. I'm enjoying the catching some fish. How's the steak? So I was thinking about this as I had the first TikToker or whatever it was in my head, and then I was thinking about this story, whatever, and I was like, "There's a problem with this. There's a big problem with this that is omitted," and I've heard this story repeated by, like, frustrated middle management sort of people or whatever, and I was it always begs the question. It's like, see, what you really need to do is just like relax. And like, not because the ambition isn't going to get you anywhere. And
sure,
that translates into zero action from the people that like understand this thing, understand the story, because they're like, well, I still got to, show up to work every day and blah, 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 and drive an hour and a half in traffic and blah, 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 and then come back to the suburbs and I hate my life and all that shit. But what it ignores is it's the oversimplicity is that the guy is just sitting on the beach enjoying himself. But the reality is, and I'm sorry, the thing that made me think about this was that I was on the street right before I got on my bike, and I heard a guy on the phone. Guy was probably in his late 60s, and he was on the phone speaking at incredible New York volumes. And he was like, "Well, they canceled they canceled my Fidelis Care. No, now they've got me on Health First. No, Medicare doesn't cover that." And this guy just like so clearly caught in the completely unnavigable, healthcare bullshit. And that's when I started thinking about this story or whatever. And I was like, that fisherman in real life needs, like the rest of us, we live in colonies. We live around in societies that you can't escape. And that fisherman has to interact with larger society and come to society for healthcare, for dental care, for retirement, like all there are worries in the world that will come for you even if you are sitting there on the beach. And the reason that we're trying to work, or this is like the carrot that's dangling in front of us that is always out of reach, is that like we need to fight for that like relative financial security, because the reality is, in this overly simplistic view, like if this guy is truly not like struggling for money, he will perish.
I mean, simply. I quit my job. Oh wow, almost a year ago now, and until a couple of months ago, I like didn't have insurance. I am like relatively lucky that even though it hasn't been like super easy, like we're able to get by without me having that income, at least for the next like few months or whatever. But like without having insurance, there was always like, if literally anything happens to me, like our life is ruined.
Right.
Like that's it. And there was stuff that I like needed medical attention for that I like just didn't get or whatever. And then when I did get my insurance, once I like started school or whatever, like now my insurance, I've had to be on the phone with them all the time to get that medical attention that I had put off because they like don't want to cover stuff.
Yeah.
Or like there's like all these like fucking insane requirements that are like specific to my insurance because it's like a school insurance for a school that's like in a different state. And it's like you can't, there's no just like don't work and relax.
No.
There's no like don't work and relax.
No. No. Even in the story of like the businessman or whatever, like it would have to be on a weekend that he's relaxing and taking a walk on the beach for himself. Like it wouldn't be like it's not in the middle of the day. Like he'd have to drive to the beach and then like have the time, and the sun would probably be down. Like you know what I'm saying?
I mean, like we talked about this, I think last time that we talked, that it was like there was like the 1 to 2 week period after I quit my job where I like really was not worried about money because it had only been a week, and I still had my insurance, and I was like, oh my God, there's people that just like live like this all the time.
Yes.
Like the reality is that like the fisherman guy would not just be able to hang out like that every day.
No.
Like you wouldn't. You can't. It's not possible. You know, like you pick up a part-time job, you do whatever, even when you're not working, because you have to in order to have like that money to fucking survive. Otherwise, what else are you gonna do?
We're skittish little mammals, like you know, we're prey. Like I think about, like sometimes I look at chipmunks and I'm like, man, that's me, man. You know, just like I gotta hide under this rock because if I but I need to go get the food, which is out from undercover. It's like in the middle of the clearing. But that if I do that, the hawk is gonna fucking come down and there's gonna be a talon going through my fucking nasal passages.
But then your allergies will be resolved.
Fucking
so.
A. Get me a hawk.
Say if it's bad or good. Call your personal assistant to get you a hawk.
Funnily enough, they're actually thriving in New York because of the rat population.
Personal assistants?
No. The hawks. The hawks.
Have you ever seen a hawk go after a dog?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You know what? Never mind.
My ex-mother-in-law had a little chihuahua.
It's scary, man.
She has a like chase dog.
It's scary.
It is. I'm not. It's no dogs died, so that's why I'm laughing. But if they did, it would be really sad. Like that would suck.
So there's something that happened in the last 2 weeks that I've been thinking about lately that I wanted us to kind of touch on as like a main topic this week. Yesterday, we're recording this on Saturday. Yesterday on Friday, the Staten Island Fulfillment Center of Amazon voted to unionize.
Mm-hmm,
and that is such a huge piece of news. And I hope that this is like one of the first shots fired, you know, along with like the Starbucks unionization efforts. In like, you know,
I think what's really cool is Amazon put millions and millions of dollars into fighting it, and they couldn't win. Even with those millions and millions of dollars they put in, you know.
Yes. And
that's the power of the people when they organize.
For the record too, apparently Amazon I'm reading a Annie R. Palmer tweet. Said Amazon hired Global Strategy Group, an influential Democratic consulting and polling firm, to help the battle against the unionization efforts of 6,000 workers in Staten Island.
Insane.
Unreal. I mean, again, like it's a perfect example of just like, you know, there is no party of labor now.
Right. I think what's really funny too is I saw somebody tweeting about this. So they were saying that like those people, you know, the people at Amazon and their consultants were like, oh, you know, this guy, like, let's just make the focus on him because, like, he's the face or whatever, Christian Smalls, and, like, there's no way that he'll, like, succeed. And he's, like, literally so charismatic and, like, cool and
so
good.
Awesome.
And it's, like, that's, like, how out of touch they are, that they couldn't see that, like, he was the face of it and that was a good thing for the movement.
Yes.
At that moment.
Yes.
And they're so up their own stupid, stuffy asses that they can't fucking see that.
A guy on Twitter, Peon Flux, had a great tweet that he tagged Jay Carney, who was, you know, one of the big Obama administration spokesmen, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's like, you know, head of not marketing, public relations, I believe, for Amazon. And you know, it's a huge blow to Amazon. I mean,
sure, yeah.
I would like to think that like And this isn't, I mean, this is just, I would imagine, beginning the the misinformation campaigns that Amazon is going to be pushing, because like they'll say, well, what happens now? They will constantly they will fight this fucking union tooth and nail because they want to show, like, see, even if you do vote for this, it's going to be an uphill battle the whole time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they said they're going to try to take like legal action to block it or whatever.
Yes.
And that there was like manipulation by the NLRB, just like the most like snaky, like scumbag type of shit to say. Like, oh, the workers don't know any better. They were like tricked into voting for this. Go fuck yourself. Like, it's so condescending.
So in contrast to this, there was a really fascinating implosion in the startup space, specifically in like, gig economy shit. Which I really wanted to talk about. Yeah. It was surrounding an app, a startup of a 15-minute grocery delivery service.
15 minutes. I can't even get groceries for myself in 15 minutes, and I have a grocery store across the street.
Exactly. Now, exactly. So to cut to the chase, my take on this, my guess of their business model was, instead of us paying cashiers minimum wage, we are going to pay delivery drivers, on the scooters, literally minimum wage.
Okay.
And
well, still, how is that going to work if it's 15 fucking minutes?
So there's
what was it called?
So Fridge No More is the
Fridge No More.
Fridge No More is,
what the fuck does that mean?
Well, it's like you don't have to keep things in your fucking fridge. I don't know.
That's really sick.
It could be worse. There was another one that also went out of business, which we want to talk about, called Buyk, Buyk.
B-U-by-K. Ketamine.
Buyk.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right, so we'll get to that. But there was a weird geopolitical inflection with this particular implosion. And
with Fridge No More or
yes,
with Buyk?
With both. With both.
Oh, with both. Okay.
And there is a reason for that, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. But first, I want to describe what happens. See, this is like, it takes away the argument that, fans of capitalism say, well, the business owners should be the ones.
Capitalism heads.
Yep, those sickos, those sicko fanboys of capitalism. They're like, the business owner should reap most of the rewards because they're the one taking more of the risk. And this is patently untrue, because when an implosion happens like this, as we're going to learn about in a second, lives are upended fast. And there's a common thread between these two companies. And I'm going to ask everyone to listen intently. I'll just point it out. You'll fucking get it real quickly. And the timing of this. So reading from Business Insider here, from yesterday, from Alex Bitter, it reads the following. The title is, Rapid Delivery Employees Describe How Their Startup Went from $17 million in funding and a DoorDash deal to a sudden and devastating end. And it reads here, when Fridge No More's deal with DoorDash fell apart earlier this month, one former employee knew something was wrong when they answered the phone and heard crying on the other end.
What?
My heart literally came out of my chest. I hope not, the employee said. At first, I thought it was something that I did. It was a shocking end to the employee's time at Fridge No More. They had worked their way up to management from picking orders in one of the startup stores.
Wait, is that how they got fired? Somebody called them crying and fired them?
No, hang on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. No, I mean, at the end of this thing, yes, I think that's exactly what happened. So it says,
what the fuck is going on?
It says they expected to join DoorDash after the deal closed.
Sure.
And for the record, DoorDash has positioned themselves as like the capital, the Leviathan to be in this whole like space of gig economy delivery shit. Like they're the ones that are like buying up all the smaller ones, and that it's probably the ones that everything's going to consolidate under.
Interesting.
And I'm not kidding about this. I think a lot of these companies build themselves, get a little funding, build some sort of a user base with the business model is to be bought. Like they know they're not in,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're not in competition.
Yeah. I mean, that's what most startups are for. They're just trying to get at least the founders are trying to just like get in, get their money, get out.
Exactly. Fridge No More's fate, however, was out of control of most, if not all, of the company's employees. I would say that that's the case for every company, but okay, that's not worker co-op. Insider obtained. It's true. Insider
You're
obtained.
like fact checking the Insider article.
You have to because they like
Yeah, no, it's
breathlessly just like assert things as given without any fucking economic
Yeah, like
analysis.
of course it was out of their control. It always.
Yes. Continuing here, it says Insider obtained emails earlier this month from Fridge No More's founders telling their team that DoorDash had agreed to acquire the 15-minute delivery startup in February. But Fridge No More employees said that DoorDash walked away from the deal without citing a reason on March 9th.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Now, I'm going to read the next paragraph, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read the names of the founders, and keep in mind the timing of this and see if you can put together what happened. The result, the Fridge No More founders, named Anton Gladkoborodov and Pavel Danilov, had to shutter the business after opening their first store in October 2020. They dropped.
Wait, they shuttered it back then, or
No,
is this like a weirdly phrased sentence?
It's a very weirdly phrased sentence. They're just saying they had to shutter the business after opening their first store in October 2020.
But it shuttered like recently.
They could. It shuttered in the beginning of March.
Got it.
They dropped the bomb on us the last minute, the former employee added, referring to DoorDash. In all, 670 Fridge No More employees lost their jobs when the company shut down. A DoorDash person told Insider, "We have a very high bar for deals of various types. As a general rule, we evaluate deals based on several criteria, including the quality of the team, efficient access to new products or markets, and long-term profit potential. If an opportunity doesn't meet our criteria, we pass on it."
Sure.
A person close to DoorDash said that the delivery operator was looking to buy Fridge No More assets, such as equipment and warehouses, not the entire company. So there's a bit of like, who's right here? Who was saying the right thing?
Yeah.
Fridge No More was one of two rapid delivery startups to fold in March. Bike, another rapid delivery startup, also folded this month after sanctions made it impossible to get funding from its parent company, Samokat, which is headquartered in Russia.
Oh, damn. Well, I mean, I guess that's like the only good thing to come of like Russian sanctions. Because I mean, it is like a fucking insane concept to have people like delivering groceries within 15 minutes.
The fucking scary thing is that this is just starting. It's like they're
really trying to like ramp it up. They're like all these delivery. Dude, when I go downstairs, like literally every time I go downstairs, there's like at least 3 people on bikes doing like Grubhub or Uber Eats or whatever.
Yes. With
like the bags with the logo. And that's just like on bikes at like any given moment.
Yes.
You have to imagine like in cars. It's just like everywhere. I mean, and it's because it is like a viable way to make like I have the Uber app or whatever to do like walking for Uber Eats or whatever. It is just like a viable, easy way to make money, especially when it is like so hard to find like a regular job or whatever.
100%. And I'm gonna pop out of this article real quick to read from this New York Post article from earlier in the month in March. Where it's,
Can I just say something really quick? I went to the Fridge No More website and it says, like no delivery fee, no minimum order, no subscription. But the real fucked up part, it says less than a mile away from you. Our cloud stores are located in the middle of your. What the fuck is a cloud store?
Exactly, right? So
what the fuck are you talking about?
So that's exactly what it is. Like you don't go into it. You don't go in there and get.
But it's in your fucking neighborhood. Like just let me go to the fucking store.
I believe, Carrie, that you are foolishly describing a grocery store, which is wrong and bad. A store
old and busted. Old and busted.
A store you can't go in is new and good.
New hotness. That's right. What the fuck is happening?
But yeah, this New York Post article, they wrote this. Fridge No More, which was supported partially by Russian investors and offered rapid deliveries in New York City and Boston, abruptly sent its 600 employees home Wednesday and
Man, that sucks.
stopped accepting orders.
That really sucks for the employees, man. I can't even imagine like so suddenly to just not have a fucking job anymore.
In a
Fuck.
day. In a day.
Fuck.
The shutdown was due to a lack of funding and potentially related to U.S. sanctions in Russia. So, I mean, look,
Fuck.
yeah, this is, this is exactly what happened. I mean, I can say that, we're giving, there's a lot of very painful thoughts I'm having at the same time. But the one of them that I'm thinking of is like, we're about to give the U.S. military a record $813, I think it is, billion for the Department of Defense budget under the Biden administration. And like, you would think that if there was like clear, direct effects on Americans from these sanctions, that there would be like maybe some money allocated to make sure that they stay on their feet.
It's just a purely destructive force with like no regard for the effects on anyone, regardless of if they're Russian or American or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, it's so I'm just reading a bit more from this Insider article. It says, many of those who managed Fridge No More's operations worked their way up from couriers and order packers, which it's like, come on, you stop. You really can't fucking help but like continue that narrative. There's like, look, you're working your way up. Totally unnecessary, but whatever. For many, it was a chance to get in on the ground floor of an interesting startup and in a growing industry. You're being
please don't let it grow, man.
Like,
I'm begging you to not let it grow.
Oh, there's no stopping this train.
End it.
That made the company's sudden collapse even harder. It was devastating, one employee who had been with Fridge No More since it opened its stores in Brooklyn said, but at the same time, it was a startup, it's a possibility that can happen. The employees Insider spoke with agreed that ultra-fast grocery delivery has a future in big cities like New York. They also expect more startups to fold, with just a few companies staying in the business in the long term, a view shared by some analysts who follow ultra-fast delivery companies.
Somebody's job is to follow ultra-fast delivery companies and comment.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It.
We're doing that right now. Why aren't we getting...
I need that job.
Give us fucking $97,000 a year for doing that shit.
Please, somebody listening to that. I will talk about it a lot.
Hang on, Carrie. We got to pay the bills. This episode brought to you by BlackRock. Do you need some private equity, Tommy? Oh, yeah, I definitely need some private equity after my job at the DNI. You need some private equity, John? Yeah, definitely. I also need some private equity. BlackRock, guys.
I don't understand, man. Like we have a lot of convenience, like more so than like any generation before us. Like that's the one thing we do have. We have like a lot of like convenient services or whatever. And it's like, why do you have to stretch that to its fucking limit and just like make it as immiserating as possible for everybody involved? Like, why does Amazon have 2-hour delivery now? Why do you need groceries in 15? Are you having an egg emergency that you need eggs in your house in 15 fucking minutes? If so, go to the fucking store. Of course, I know there's like always like edge cases, like people who like can't go to the store.
Yeah.
I like our grocery store in the area we live in, like the produce is like, it is rotten every single time.
Yeah.
It's just like a food desert. And so I do get like a vegetable delivery. So like I get that. But it's also like the place I ordered the vegetables from is like it's one of those places that gets like the leftover ones that wouldn't go to a grocery store. And they're just like, we're going to show up on Saturday whenever we feel like it. And so
yeah,
I don't understand the need of like 15. And then there are people like, it's created a type of customer that is just like a nightmare to deal with. Because then there's people that are like, well, my order got here in 16 minutes. And so this person needs to be fired.
Yeah, I think my kind of like larger analysis of this is these sorts of companies are exploiting or finding a market, I guess is the nice way to put it, in giving us back our time. And I think that...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think that, like, we're so, like, beaten down with the amounts of things that we need to think about and are bombarded with. And, and like, it's hard to, like, do anything. And, like, everything, especially when, you're stressed to shit, COVID sucks, every interaction you have is, like, it could be my fucking last because I'm going to get COVID from, you know what I'm saying? And our time is the thing that we have the least, maybe neck and neck with money and
Sure.
shit. And like, and it's just, I think when we just like get home and we're like, fuck, I should make dinner. I should do this, but I have
It's
to
time
go
to pay $80 for McDonald's on Uber Eats instead.
Like, it turns us into this, like, it's just a way to take some of our time back.
Sure.
And I think that's what
that
they're
makes
exploiting.
sense. Like when I was a kid, like, or when we were kids, obviously we're the same age. Like it was just like our parents would like drive through McDonald's on the way home or whatever. And this
Right.
is just like the logical extension of continuing to push that toward like more and more and more and more convenience. And the reality is, like, it really doesn't end up being that much more convenient, even as like a consumer, right? Like it is just like the people benefiting the most from it are like the platform. As like consumers, we're paying like 3 to 5 times as much for stuff that really, like, if we were like, you know what, I'm not going to work an extra hour today for free, I'm going to go to the grocery store. Like we could do that, but then it just like,
Yep.
it creates a context where it's like, you don't even like feel like doing that because you're like so beaten down. It's like, I guess I will just pay 3 times as much for my groceries as I'm like too tired to go do it or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can even afford that. Otherwise you're like working on these apps and like so many people do, like so many people that I know have like my mom has worked on like every single one of those delivery apps.
Wow.
And it's like, and it's like she says like people will like make her bring up like 5 huge containers of like water bottles and then not tip her. Like that is just like the type of
That's so
consumer that
fucked.
like comes from like this expectation of like everything needs to keep being more convenient for me. It becomes like hyper individualistic because of course, like you said, we're all like tired, whatever, but you become so much more insulated by being able to like avoid interacting with your community in any meaningful
Yes.
way, or like having to go out to your grocery store. It's just like further and further isolating everyone all the time.
Yeah. I think, our brains are constantly trying to like maximize pleasure and utility and stuff like that. Like we're always like subconsciously our brains are like geared to like maximize enjoyment. And like if that 15 minutes that you would have otherwise like go around the corner and go to the grocery store or the bodega or something like that, you would otherwise just want to sit and just go on Instagram mindlessly and just take a minute. Like I remember taking an anthropology class in college, and the professor was like, we all live in these systems of like interconnectedness and stuff like that. And I remember him asking like, can you get out of the system and, and not interact with it and all this stuff? And he was like, yeah, we do it all the time. He was like, my version is, he's like, I pour a stiff drink, I put a dull book in my hand, and I put on a dull PBS television thing, and I just fucking chill out. That's my time. And that's what I do. And like, we just need that time to just like decompress and take time and take the time back for ourselves.
Yeah.
Every year that has gone by since I've been alive, it has become harder for us to do that. And I don't want to be like generationally disparaging or whatever, but just like,
sorry, I just
if
burped.
it's-
Why did I just burp like that? What
Oh.
the fuck? I'm so sorry. Please go on.
it's the new allergies from climate change. You're just burping all the time.
I'm so gross.
These climate change allergies hit different.
Oh, they do hit different. Let's get this viral.
So I just like
Please.
it's and that's the other thing too. Like this is something I've been thinking about for like 3 weeks, is the fucking insidious nature of that word should.
Yeah.
It's such a dangerous word, and every time I find myself saying it, I stop myself to pause and be like, where is that coming from? And it's like a lot of times I'm like, I should make dinner instead of ordering because but I'm like, I'm so exhausted. And then you beat yourself
Sure.
up. And it's just like,
Yeah.
or I should work out, or I shouldn't have this fucking pint of coffee ice cream. It's like but
You should have that pint of coffee.
I had a fucking grapefruit last night instead of the coffee ice cream, and I feel like an idiot.
Do you want to know what I did last night?
Yeah, hit it.
So Shane is away for the weekend with his like bestest college friends for his mini bachelor party.
Love it.
And so I was home alone and I was watching Is It Cake? and I got really high, and at midnight I made a funfetti cake. And I didn't
Fucking
even
love
eat it because I was so tired.
I love it. I love
I was like, I have to make this.
I love it. That shit's good too, man. I love that.
Funfetti? I don't even like funfetti.
If it's colored compressed sugar, I'm in.
It looks great though. I do love the little happy look of the, little sprinkles.
If there were no
so
consequences,
happy.
I would take a store-bought frosting, a pint of that and a spoon,
yeah,
and fucking go ape.
Go to town.
Oh,
Go to fucking town.
You wouldn't
on
see
it,
me
man.
for 2 hours. I'd be gone,
yeah.
living it up, bouncing off the fucking walls, and then
Hell, I've done it.
needing medical intervention.
You can't stop me. I can't have Nutella in the house.
Fucking Nutella! That's what I wanted last night. Fuck! I was like,
We are all just little treat boys, aren't we?
listen, man.
We just love treats.
my parents tell me the story about the first time that I had ice cream, where I was
Aw.
11 months old or something, like a year.
No.
And
you were probably such a cute baby.
They
dude.
said, maybe, probably not. But they were like, thank you. But they said that I looked at them after I took the first bite and was like, are you fucking kidding me? This has been available the whole time?
You pieces of shit.
And that is that's one of my longest relationships, actually, is with ice cream. Fuck, it's so good. I want some. Anyway, I just, this, I know it's like a lot of like confluence of things. I know it's just like, oh, I have allergies, but it's not that fucking simple. And it's not, it's not that fucking simple. There is a larger, thing to be extracted from that. It's not as simple as just like, oh, I guess we got to go to a different, 15-minute delivery service anymore. Like, there's massive geopolitical implications and like, the causing of the layoff of like, fucking 700 people, like immensely consequential things. And it's not just as simple as just like, oh yeah, you can get delivery in 15 minutes. Oh, that's funny. That doesn't seem right, but okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that this is happening. There's a reason that we even have this need. And like, I can't ignore this shit. It just like screams at me, when I see these things happen. It's so fucked up.
That just reminded me of something that I found out exists.
Oh no.
That there's a need for that really should not exist. I don't know. Should I go into it?
Do it.
Yeah, I'll just go into it. So my friend Melly sent me this article that she was reading, and it was about a couple who had they had twins, and I believe the twins ended up in the ICU. They were born premature.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not supposed to be any surprise billing anymore. Like, they've passed laws around that. But what happened was, I believe that she was like, I think they actually had the twins through a surrogate, and the surrogate was in another state or something, so that she ended up at like an out-of-network hospital, and there was like all these like problems, and the hospital would not provide documentation to the insurance proving that it had been like an emergency or whatever, and so they ended up with a bill for like almost $100,000, and they spent like a year trying to like resolve this and get the hospital to provide what the insurance needed to believe that it was an emergency, and therefore to like process the claim so that the family wouldn't have to be liable for this like $80,000 to $100,000 or whatever it was. And the point of it, the thing that made me think of this, is that the way that they finally resolved it is there are now companies to help mediate this situation with your insurance company and the hospital. So they paid $8,000 to this company, which was called, I believe, Resolve, in order to deal with this for them. Now, if they had not had $8,000, I don't know about you, I don't have $8,000 to do anything.
Fucking A.
But if they had not had that $8,000, then like, they would just be like financially ruined. They would just have like $100,000 in medical debt or whatever. And it's just insane. Like, that is absolutely a company that should not exist. Its very existence is like only born through like evil of like, our healthcare system and the for-profit nature of it. Like, I was just like so shocked by how in the article as I was reading, it was like, there was like a little nod from like the mom saying, like, we're lucky we like had the money for it, but it didn't really like go too deep into like the existence of this company is like evil. Obviously, in reality, like they are helping people. Like I would, if I had $8,000, I'd rather pay $8,000 than like $80,000.
Right.
But they shouldn't have been paying fucking anything. Like their insurance should have just covered it. They had to pay $8,000 for their insurance just to agree to cover it. That's like extortion.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
It's just like codified extortion, courtesy of the free market. Every new business that comes out is just a different way of seeing, like, what's a way that I can extract money from people through some kind of horrible gap that exists that's ruining their life.
I don't know how to say this. Okay. To our producer, please delete this if this seems to not okay. But, you know, I see things like, you know, January 6th and stuff like where there's just like massive resentment, huge hatred, you know, and like, you know, just complete frustration with, you know, the state of things. And I think to myself, you know, as well as like, you know, mass shootings and domestic terrorism and stuff like that. And sometimes I think,
you have to delete this.
You have to delete this. Okay, for those that are now hearing us saying like you have to delete this, it was really it wasn't a swear or anything like that.
It was really nice. It was
really nice, but it was very fucking intense. It was very dark and intense.
I do agree with that like sentiment, and I think no, I'm not. I'll say this. Off air.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about this. How can we put this?
There are things that surprise me.
We can agree that we're surprised occasionally
in life, you know. But yeah, it's like it's galling when you like really look at all the little things that just ruin our lives that are now like profit mechanisms.
Yeah. I just can't.
I'm trying to think if I should save this. I want to do an update to my BetterHelp episode. I'll just give like a little preview of it. Because I'm writing a piece for school and I've been interviewing therapists. And if you listen to the BetterHelp episode that I did on here, you know already that it's like really bad. It's really awful. I tried to talk a bit about how it is like for the workers, you know, the therapists that work on these platforms. I had an interview with a therapist a couple of days ago, and like the stuff that she told me is like 1,000 times worse than anything I said in that episode. Like it's like so much worse than I thought that it was. Yeah, there's like I knew intuitively because of like the gray area that these platforms operate in by like gigifying therapy that there's stuff that's like unregulated. But like she told me like several stories that were just like severe safety issues that I hadn't even considered as somebody who's like never used the platform. So when I finish that piece, I'll probably do like an update to that.
Please.
And actually, if anybody listening has worked on any of those platforms, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I believe my DMs are open. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Well, I'm glad that we cut out that extremely scary thing that I said.
The extremely nice and normal thing.
Yeah.
You know who that was? That was the guy that talks into your headphones. That wasn't you.
I can't be blamed. Can't be blamed. I can't be held liable for somebody else's thoughts. Oh, what
really
now we have a thought police?
Or can I? 1984, baby.
That's right. Open up. It's happening. All right. This was something. This is actually a pretty breezy, cheery episode compared to some of the other shit that
Easy,
we have.
breezy, beautiful cover girl.
That's us.
Why did I say that? I don't know.
Because we've covered makeup and cosmetic companies before.
That's right, and we will again.
Fucking A.
Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
We're hanging up now. No more actionable things. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Love you so much.
Send me some tissues.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm a dash. I'm a go dash. I'm a go dash. I'm a go I'ma go dash. 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 I'ma go dash and I'ma go dash. I'ma go dash and I'ma go dash. Dash. I'ma go 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 dash. Red back, I'm on that. Hold up, where we going? Matter of fact, check that, accept that. I'ma dash that. Okay. Throw that baby. Throw that wavy. Dash. Chill. They be asking the time, I'm checking the ferg. Yeah, what's up? Where we at? We getting that money, big money alert. They asking these questions, I'm like, nah, I don't care. Where you at? Where I am? This where I'm from. Getting this money from the WAP in the pause. Getting this cash. Oh shit, ain't no turning. Hold back. I'ma go dash. 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 I'm leaving the crib with my jacket, my hood, and the Scully. Ski mask and I'm clocked in. I'm leaving the crib with the